There we go. Got it. Are we good? We live?
We are live.
Woo! We are live.
What up, what up? Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody.
Woo!
Not yet. Let me see.
Oh, we're not live.
Oh,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
live.
you're live.
We
You're
are
live.
we are live.
That's great. Yes, happy St. Patty's Day to all. I'm embarrassed. I'm in red and not green. It's a total fail.
Her eyes are green, if you can't tell.
They are. So there you go. Irish eyes. Hello, welcome everybody to Predictable Live. I am your host today. My name is Christina Esposto. I work for Predictable Revenue as a sales strategy coach. And been in sales my entire life, literally what seems like out of the womb. And I now get to help other businesses to definitely don't do the same things that I did over the years. And thank God I made those mistakes, because I would not be as fun if I didn't. And so today we are, I'm actually really, really excited for our guest today, James. First time I met James, immediately liked him. His laugh is infectious. You can't help it. But what James doesn't know, and I'm going to tell you right now, is he's done a few of these with Predictable, and he knows Sarah Hicks, as you guys know, as the face of Predictable Revenue. And she told me the story when she first met James, when she was an SDR, and cold called him by accident because he should not have been on her list. And he was kind enough to respond and say, hey, I think I got on your list by mistake, and was able to give her a few tips. And she valued that so much because she took what he said. First of all, he was nice to, and generous with his time, but she took what he said to her and the tips that he gave her, and it started to, utilize this, and it made a very impactful difference in her job performance. So I just was having drinks with Sarah, and she brought this up, James. So I wanted to share that story.
Tee
with
me
you.
up for that. Yeah,
I know.
The thing that was impressive about Sarah was that she had it in her brain that she was going to do like a temporary stint in sales. And I told her, I remember this very clearly. I said, you should not run away from sales if you like it. And she was like, oh, I just don't know if I want to do it like long term. And I said, look, there are not enough strong female voices in our industry. And you have an opportunity to become one of very few female voices that lead the charge in sales.
Right. And
she was like, that I never thought of that. And I was like, what you're thinking is I'm going to go through the sales cycle in the typical traditional pattern of SDR, AE, et cetera. But instead, think about sales leadership and think about joining the ranks as somebody that manages a team of people and inspires people to do good. And I don't think she'd ever put it in that lens before. And I'm so glad that she did, because now she's who she is. And I just couldn't be more happy for her.
Right. Yeah. And just an absolute force to be reckoned with. So,
oh man, she's awesome.
And she's 26. How annoying is that?
Hey, they say that as we work hard and find success later, the people that are learning from us find it earlier.
Yeah. Oh, that's, you know what? I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. That is great. Nice. So yes, without further ado, everybody, this is Mr. James Buckley. You know him, you love him. Thanks for everyone listening on the podcast right now. It's going to be interactive, so feel free to send out some questions as James is doing his thing.
And throw your questions. I love Q&A. Throw them in there.
Yeah, and we'll definitely do our best to answer them. So, today, you've been there, we've been there as sales managers. There's so much more to building a sales team than, hitting your numbers, driving the revenue. When you think sales manager, that's what you think. But the first time I became a sales manager, I was like, oh my God, there is just so much more to this. And the part I loved about it the most was the part that had nothing to do with sales. And it's like taking these seemingly broken humans and fixing them, right? And there's just so much more than offering, a generous bonus and salary. It's like, how are we developing these humans? How are we turning these humans into, people that they could go home at the end of the day and feel good about themselves? Because let's face it, this is the freaking hardest job. You're getting beat up all day long. So how do you boost morale amongst your team? How do you get them in a good place, right? So this is what we're talking about today. James, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, so you guys probably know me as James Say What Sales Buckley. That's my personal brand, Say What Sales, and it's how I invested in myself, was building a personal brand that went from being unknown to being known. And I did this with a very specific formula. It wasn't hard. It's not a difficult formula. I'll give it to you now. Consistency over time equals audience. And I ended up building a very strong audience full of salespeople. And it turned out that was who I sold best to. So that's the short story of Say What Sales and how it became what it is today.
That's awesome. And so, 20 years ago, where were you at?
If you had asked anybody 20 years ago where I am today, they would tell you dead or in prison. They would not tell you that I am here doing this. I had a very rocky upbringing. I was into drugs and alcohol very early. I got mixed in with the wrong crowds down in South Miami, Florida. I ended up moving away to Tennessee and starting a new life. I went back to college, got a degree, started a career in SaaS and technology. And that's what led me down the path that I ended up here. And in 2019, I got a call from John Barrows, and he said, man, the way that you make people feel, this is literally what he said, the way you make people feel is incredible. You want to do it with me? And wow. I said, where do I sign? I said, so this is my forever home. I will probably have to get fired, and I'm going to make it uncomfortable. Yeah, well, I have the best job in the world. I am successful because I get to help other people win, not because I make money. I think people get the wrong impression about what success is when it comes to professional development and personal growth. We think that money is the game. And I'll be honest, most of the time it starts out as the game. We get into sales because it's the big shiny object that will lead us down a path to more money in our pockets, our bank accounts.
Yeah.
But once you reach a certain point in the sales career, money becomes second to what happiness is like. Absolutely. Do you enjoy what you do? Do you believe in what you sell? Are you proud of the customers that you serve? That is a definition of success that I think a lot of people don't appreciate and don't have a lot of, what's the word, value. Right? They don't see that value until later in life. But we're humans, and it takes time to do this. It takes time to get past the money. Yeah. Everything you ever cared about takes time. If you've ever won an award, if you've ever achieved a long-term goal like weight loss, or just, I'm recently diagnosed type 2 diabetes, and I'm working on getting my health back together. That's a long-term game, right?
Yeah.
Those things take time. On purpose. Things that are human take time, and your level of success and the way that you present yourself and the way that you carry yourself through your personal and professional growth is no different. It takes time. It's not supposed to happen overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the first thing you do? Like when you have this group of humans that you're now in charge of, like getting the most out of, what's the first step?
Yeah. So the first thing you need to do is set realistic expectations. Time is always going to be something that's in the back of these people's minds, and you have to set that time for the right time frame. Nowhere is this more obvious than when new SDRs get hired. You might hire a new sales development rep, and they're going to come in and they're amped about it. And they came from another job. They came from, if they're new to sales, they came from the restaurant industry, the bartending industry, retail, they came from working with children. They came from Chuck E. Cheese. They had this random job that was just kind of something that they were using to get by until they got out of college.
Yeah.
Then they graduate from college and they come into the SDR role, and they might be getting paid minimal, right? Because everybody starts at a certain level, but they're amped about the job.
Yeah.
And you say to them 2 months in, how you liking it so far? And they're like, oh my God, this is incredible. I'm so happy. I can't believe I get paid for this. What an amazing team. There's ping pong tables and bean bags. This is amazing. I love the lunches, there's like all these different things that they love. And then 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, you can talk to that same rep, and they're like, if I'm not an account executive by the end of the week, I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
And you don't know why this mentality exists. I'll tell you why. We live in an instant gratification world. Everybody sees the end goal. What they don't see is the mountain that they have to climb to get there.
Right.
So we have to put that expectation in front of people early so that they understand what it is. As a leader, what we want to do is say things like, you're going to be in this role for at least a year. Comfortable with that? Right? We do this at the interview process. This way Absolutely. They know I got to commit to the year. I don't want to hear 4 months down the line, when am I going to get a promotion and can I have a raise?
Yeah.
Right? And because that's unrealistic. That's not the reality. So they make the time for the growth and development. That's the thing they have to do. Yes, it's great that you hit goals. Yes, it's great that you come in and work hard every day. But if you don't make time to grow and develop into the next phase of your career, when the time comes, you're going to be starting all over from scratch in a new role. So take the time, put it on your calendar, allocate that time to be able to learn, develop, grow in the right direction. When you hit that goal, and everyone will, move the goalpost, set a new one.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, because we feel accomplished and we want to bask in that accomplishment.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do. We want to be like, I'm amazing. I hit that goal. Thank you so much. I'm out. I want to drop the mic and then I'm going to walk out and I'm going to leave. And I'm done.
Yeah.
You are done for the day. Go celebrate. You have every right in the world to do it. But the next day, when you come in, what's the new goal?
Yeah.
What's the next thing you're going to accomplish? And get on that path to that.
So what happens if you're an SDR, you're working with this company and they don't have the support from leadership? What can they do?
Yeah, build your brand, build your brand. And when I say build your brand, I want to be really upfront with this. Never tie your personal brand, your content, the things you're putting out there to your company or a specific value proposition. You can't, some people have a very good way of doing this, and these people are entrepreneurs. Like, I don't know if you follow Miss Excel on Instagram. She does Excel training.
Yeah.
She's tied her brand to Excel.
Right.
But that's because she's an entrepreneur that's monetizing her knowledge on Excel. As an SDR, you're not an entrepreneur.
No.
So what we're doing is positioning ourselves to be a valued resource that's entertaining and educating other people to be able to be valuable themselves. Right. If you can do that, then you attract individuals in your direction. Attach yourselves to macros. I do a hashtag hip hop and sales, where I pull out quotes from rap music that are inspirational and motivational, the stuff that I get out of rap music, right? Not the negative stuff, but the positive stuff.
Right.
And I post it, hashtag hip hop and sales. Yeah. I never thought this would have gone viral the way it did. But like, more people have taken on this thing and started using it themselves. It's amazing. Like, I'm all for it. I support it. Right. But it turns out millions and millions of people listen to hip hop.
Absolutely.
They all have jobs and they work in places where I might be able to sell into. So attach yourselves to macros. Recently, my macro is fitness, right? So I'm out there joining the fitness world, sharing my journey. And that's been very helpful for attracting people in my direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I just saw someone pop in here. So I'm just going to, I don't know if you're raising your hand, Eric. Hi, nice to see you. No, you're good. Okay. Not a problem. So how do, as an SDR or anyone in sales, actually, how do I get people to want to talk to me? What can I do?
So first of all, you hit the nail on the head there. You have to get people to want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I think we have a terrible habit of selling. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but we have a terrible habit of selling. Stop selling and start having conversations. Start getting to know people. I think of all of my conversations as networking events. I'm going to come up and I'm going to shake your hand on Zoom, high five, right? Yeah. And then we're going to have a real conversation and you're going to tell me who you're with and what you do and how long you've been there. And what do you think about it? Do you like your job? Who do you work with? What's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you? Right? These are all questions I ask people that lead to good conversation. I'm getting them to drop the wall. I'm getting them to open up a little bit and feel more comfortable talking to me. Yeah. We are human beings. We have a tendency to lead the conversation to a point where we shift focus from us. Right. So when you ask somebody 4, 5, 6 questions about them, inevitably they say, what about you?
Yeah.
This is your moment. You've earned the right to say, well, my name is Eric and I work with X company. And what we do is, and I've been there for 5 years and it's the best job I've ever had because, right? When can you and I have a quicker conversation about that? Right. And you might be able to get their card in that moment. Yeah. What I'm looking for on a Zoom call is the setting up of the next step. What I'm looking for on a cold call is somebody to say, yeah, I would be interested in checking that out. Yeah. Right. That is very vastly different from what we typically see, which is, hi person, my name is, and I'm with, and we do, and can I have 15 minutes of your time? Fuck no, you can't have 15 minutes of my time. I don't even know you.
Yeah.
Right. And yet, if we build that rapport, if we earn that right, people are more willing to give us the time because they want to build the relationship. Yeah. They're more interested in the relationship than they are in the product. The product is the end result. You are the value before your product matters.
I couldn't agree more. It's more often than not, they're buying you. They're not buying the product. They're buying you because they trust you and you've established that relationship, and they're going to listen to you because you have given them the right, or not the right, but they're going to, when you can distill everything that's out there into something that's just really comprehensible for everybody, then I think that just automatically builds trust. Because sometimes it's not in your best interest, right? Like sometimes it's, you might be talking about competitors. It's just like, yeah, they do that really, really well. And this is what we do. But I think the more fallible you are, and the more human you are, and the more that you do present that you have their best interests at heart, that's when you're building that trust.
Well, we think we need lots of things to be able to build an audience.
Yeah.
We think we need marketing support. We think we need people writing for us. We think we need outsourced materials.
For sure.
I built Say What Sales with my phone. I hold it out here just like this, and I talk to my target audience.
Yeah.
And that's it. I did this for years.
Yeah.
No, it's funny now because I have all the lights and the big camera and the production, but I didn't have that before.
Yeah.
Right. It was just me and my phone, my iPhone 5.
Yeah. It's wild, right?
It is.
Yeah.
So when you think about that, you think about like, what was the end game? Well, the end game was, I want to build an audience of people that I could potentially sell to that already trust me.
Yeah.
And when you do this, it's endless. I mean, you have so many people to reach out to ask favors from, to support you. And that's the name of the game in sales. Again, how do I get people to want to talk to me? I create content that positions me as a valued resource that can help them grow, develop, get to the next stage, solve a problem, improve a current situation. If you're positioning yourself that way, you have a much easier time earning the credibility, which is the hardest thing salespeople get from prospects. Credibility.
Yeah.
If you're doing that, you'll have more conversations and close more deals.
Yeah, absolutely. So, when I'm an SDR, I'm brand new, I'm just starting out. Like sometimes it's cringeworthy when I hear clients and it's like, okay, give me an example of what your cold call looks like. And it's just like, hi. And the first thing they're just like, yeah, it's raining in Vancouver right now. We're just talking about this, about why is your opening about the weather? Like, stop talking. So what are some go-tos? Like, how do you establish that relationship when you have 10 seconds?
So we have a great opener that we give people that I think works really well. There's a few of them that we give out, but I'll give you this one because this one is the one I use consistently and it works for me. First of all, your tone matters. We have a terrible tendency to have, and this is Chet Holmes, the ultimate sales machine. If you're a Gen Xer or older, you probably remember Chet Holmes. He was a really famous sales trainer. He wrote the book Ultimate Sales Machine. Shout out Chet Holmes, rest in peace. We have a terrible habit of having an upward inflection when we ask for the person we want to talk to. We'll say things like, is Christina there? And there's this like upward tone. We've already lost, right? That is an easy no. But when we say, Christina, please, and there's a downward inflection in our voice, we have the authority in this conversation. We control the outcome. It's subconscious. It's a chemical reaction in the mind, in the brain. Another thing is what you say. So if you're looking for Eric, I might say something like, hey, is this Eric? And they're like, yes. And you say, Eric, thank you for taking the call. Do you have a minute before your next meeting? I've done 3 things here. 1, I've verified you're the person I'm looking for. And I've also said, thank you for taking the call, which never happens. Big pattern interrupt. When I say, do you have a moment? This is me acknowledging the fact that you didn't plan to hear from me today. And I know that your time is valuable. And you know what? So is mine. Yeah. Before your next meeting steals away their ability to say, I'm in a meeting, which is the dumbest thing that people say after they answer your cold call. I always respond, just so you know, when people say this to you, I always respond and say, you answered my cold call in your meeting with the upward inflection. They always hang up, but I like to think before they do, they feel silly. Maybe they won't say that to the next caller.
Yeah, absolutely. I was having this conversation with someone a little bit ago as well, is that psychological shift to not act like you were beneath the person that you were speaking to, to have everyone on the same, and even if it's someone like you're calling a CEO, right? It's never just like, oh my God, you're a CEO, I'm this little person. Like, you own that conversation, you set the tone, and everyone's on the same playing field, and off you go, right?
Well, yes and no. I think that as humans, we are on the same playing field. But a 25-year-old recent college grad is going to challenge a 56-year-old CEO on how they do business.
Right.
And that in itself is a problem.
Right.
We talk about the challenger problem a lot with young sellers because you can read that book. It's a great book. And The Challenger Sale, The Challenger Customer, I recommend those books. They're fantastic books.
Yeah.
But know your place. Know where you stand in the totem pole.
Right.
The lies we tell ourselves, right? I'm going to tell this 56-year-old, 25-year sales veteran that he's been doing sales wrong. And I've been in this job for 6 months.
Right.
I doubt that conversation is going to go the way you think it is.
Right.
Right? You're not going to lead that person down a path where they're like taking copious notes from you.
Yeah.
It's unlikely. Right?
Yes.
So instead, we have to appeal to their better nature. You have to be willing to learn from them, humble yourself, and be able to learn from them, be able to be interested in them, ask them questions that are not self-serving.
Absolutely.
Can I put 15 minutes on your calendar to sell you something is not a good call to action.
No.
But I'm interested in the way you do X. Can we set up some time so you can give me some details around that? Is a better angle for you to take as a young seller, because everybody likes to show off what they know. Right? And if you are out there collecting knowledge, you are doing two things. You are building trust and getting people to drop their guard, and you are building your brand, personal development, and professional development as well.
Yeah.
Because the more you know, the more effective you can be. That's universal shit. I don't care what your job is.
Yeah, you're right. So what are some other things, like how, because again, I'm always focused on the time. Like, how does this person, everyone gets hung up on, right? It's this thing, it happens. So when you have literally 3 openers, you have 3 chances to get this person to hang on for like another minute, and maybe another minute after that, and maybe another minute after that, right? So how do you draw them in?
So I'm actually against that. I if somebody's trying to hang up with me, I don't want them on the phone. Like I'm not a person that is, hey, before I let you go, one more thing. Hey, before I let you go, one more thing. Yeah. Oh, hey, before you hang up, I just have one more question. What you're doing is pissing people off.
Yeah, you certainly are. Yeah.
Because they want to be done with the conversation. They're looking for a way out. Let them go.
Yeah.
You can call them back tomorrow. I got news for you. They don't remember who you are.
That's the biggest thing, isn't it? You're just not that special. I know.
It's true. No, listen, it's not said in like a bad way.
No, I know.
But we have this thing in our mind that's like, if I get someone on the phone, I might never talk to them again.
Yeah.
If you earn that, you will.
Right.
Even if you don't earn it, you'll earn it again in a week when you call them back, and they don't know who you are, man. They don't remember your name. Even if you told them, they don't remember your name, nothing. I've never called somebody 15 times and had them pick up the phone one time and be like, oh yeah, you're that guy. And I have a big brand. Like people do know who I am.
Yeah.
And still no one says that, right?
Yeah.
The only people that say it are the people that actually follow my content, and like they're impressed with who I am and what I do.
Right.
And they'll open with, oh my God, I feel like I'm talking to a celebrity, right?
Yeah.
It's flattering and everything, but I use it to my advantage.
For sure.
Right? Time management is the task. That's the thing that every seller needs to master before they can move forward with personal or professional development. And again, the whole premise of this is personal and professional development. And here's my carrot. Here's my diamond for you. You cannot grow professionally until you are willing to grow personally. When we grow personally, we take that professionalism and we apply it to the growth.
Right.
It also happens organically without us trying.
Yeah.
And therefore it sticks around a lot longer. Right. We make changes that stay.
Yeah.
So learn how to grow personally and change who we are as human beings.
Yeah.
And the professional growth will come as a result of those changes.
Right.
Right? How many times have you been in a one-on-one in your growth career as you've moved forward, and somebody was like, I've seen some major improvement in your performance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you think to yourself, it's working.
Yeah.
You didn't change professionally. You changed personally.
Yeah.
You prioritized differently.
Yeah.
You acted accordingly.
Yeah.
You went against what your normal knee-jerk reaction would be, and you thought about what would be most effective.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you couldn't be more right. Like you hit it's really resonating with me personally too, because like I was a late bloomer. I feel
Same.
it took me a really long time to like, get it. And so I was like, why did it take me so long and all the rest of it? And I went through like a lot of counseling. Like I put in the hard work, the real hard work, all the things that fix the broken, and everything changed.
Yeah.
Everything in my life changed after that.
Yeah. And when we change personally, everything else in our lives goes up and to the right.
Yeah.
Our relationships get stronger.
Oh.
Our effect that we have on people around us gets more positive.
Right.
The responses that we get become more abundant. Our magnet pulls more people in our direction. And it's all because we've done two things. One, we focused on growing as a person. And two, we've nailed down where we need to spend our time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And where we can be most effective in achieving our goals and helping others. Guys, everyone on the call right now, just listen to me. It's not our job to convince or persuade people to buy what we have. It's our job to sell what we have to people that need it. That feels extremely different when you look at it through that lens. Sell to the people that need what you have. If you have to convince or persuade them, you're closing on a problem for your customer success team.
That's pretty powerful, James.
It's powerful because it's true.
It is true. Yeah.
How many times have your customer success people been coming to you and being like, hey, we closed this deal and it's great and all, but I don't think this is going to be a good fit.
I know, right?
We hear this all the time from CS. And
Yeah.
the reason we hear it is because salespeople are focused on the goal, not
Yeah.
the people.
Yeah.
They're focused on the money and not the solution.
Yeah.
They're focused on the sale and not the problem or the improvement. If you focus on the right thing, you have a long-term customer. They're loyal. They renew. It used to be enough to make sales. It used to be enough to be like, I closed that deal.
Yeah.
Today, we're like, I have to close that deal. And then I have to maintain that relationship for a year so that they renew.
Yeah.
Because the only time it's really profitable is when they renew.
Yeah.
The resources that we spend for that first year, onboarding, training, doing adoption, that makes the deal itself a little less valuable than it is initially. When they renew, it's all profit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, think about it from that perspective. Grow personally enough to be able to connect with real human beings and make the distinction between closing a sale and closing a customer.
Right. Yeah. I think the best salespeople know when to walk away and know when not to take the deal because they know it's not right. Right.
Well, yeah. From a prospecting perspective, I think that there is a paradox that no one's talking about. And I've been saying this for the last few weeks, and it really makes sense to me when I say it out loud every time. Think about you when you were a kid. Think about the things that your parents used to say to you over and over again. One of the things my parents used to say all the time was, don't talk to strangers.
Yeah.
Right. And then they would say, under no circumstances should you ever get in someone's car that you don't know.
Right.
Right. No way. Right. I think every child is told this from birth until adolescence. Right.
Stranger danger.
Yeah. Stranger danger. Don't talk to strangers. Don't get in cars that you don't know these people. No, don't do it. Now you become an adult.
Yeah.
And not only do you become an adult, but you become a sales professional. Your job is literally to talk to strangers. Not only are you talking to strangers, but you have to get in the van for the candy and the puppies. That's bananas. If you think it's against everything that we get told from youth on.
It's so true.
And yet it's the thing that makes us most successful. The reason I am a successful seller is because I am comfortable talking to strangers.
Yeah.
That thing that people get when they have to do public speaking or meet people that they don't know, where they feel that nervous tightness in their stomach. I think I was born without that. Whatever that is, I don't have one of those.
That's awesome. So good. That's amazing. So when we've been talking a lot about cold calling and prospecting that way, but we haven't really talked about what people can do, emails, like subject lines, things like that. So let's dive into that a little bit.
Yeah, so email's kind of weird these days. And I think people are just being more selective about what they open and why. So here's what I always say. Every human being starts their day and comes back from lunch the same way. We come in and we look at our inbox and we scan, and we're looking for two things. Shit from people that I don't know, that I didn't ask for, get the checkbox, and stuff that's clearly automated and I don't even have to open it to know that. and it gets a checkbox. And then we
Yeah.
scroll up to the top and we hit the trash can. And the stuff that's left is the stuff we actually want to read.
Yeah.
So here's my tip. And I got this one I got from Morgan J. Ingram. Your first 6 to 8 words are critical because they are the preview that people scan and see.
Right.
They have to scream, I wrote this for you.
Right.
Subject line. That's the other thing they see when they scan.
Yeah.
Use their name. You can put a merge field in there if you want. It'll pull the same way from your CRM like anything else,
Right.
but use their name. They may not click that checkbox as quick when their name is in the subject line.
Right.
Right. The first step to getting email responses is people have to want to open your brother.
Yeah.
They have to open the message.
Yeah.
Right. After that, the email is what it is. You need a structure. You need 10, our sales loft data will report 10 to 15%, up to 20% personalization has the highest reply rate. Anything over that, and it tends to be grandiose. It's too much, right? But when you customize with triggers and things that are relevant, we always talk about like relevance over personalization. That part of it is so important because both are very powerful, but I'll take relevance all day over personalization.
Sure.
Right. John always gives this great example. John Barrows will tell you that so many people reach out to him and they say, John, I see you went to the University of Maryland. So the reason I'm reaching out is I have this great data tool, which is completely detached from the University of Maryland. Right. It has nothing to do with the University of Maryland. What you're essentially saying is, I really quick went to your LinkedIn profile and saw where you graduated from. I would prefer that as the opener. Hey, really quick, I scanned through your LinkedIn profile and I saw you went to the University of Maryland. The next sentence has nothing to do with that. Right? I would get a giggle out of that more so than that hard cut to something completely unrelated.
Right.
So if you're going to mention something in your personalization, be sure you can tie it back to something relevant.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's the call to action. People, hear me. Stop asking for time.
Yeah.
Start asking if things matter.
Yeah.
Start asking about impact. Start asking about improvement. Start asking, is this interesting to you? Can we continue the conversation on this date at this time?
Right.
But don't say, do you have 30 minutes?
Yeah.
And don't send a link and go click here and schedule a call. Dude, stop it.
Right. Yeah.
We have to earn every single step in the modern selling environment. When we take for granted the fact that we are not a priority in these people's lives, and all the time I say it, and for however many people are in the room, let me get a 1 in the chat. Let me get a 1 in the chat. If somebody has ever called you and said, hey, come on back to the grocery store, we've got the milk. The milk that you need, we have it. No one's in the chat. Right? But when you need the milk, you go get the milk. We buy stuff when we're damn good and ready. We can't create urgency. That's a myth in sales. We can uncover urgency and we can find things that have urgency that our prospects didn't know about, but we can't create it. No one will ever feel like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for making me feel anxious about this.
I've never heard it put that way before. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. We blew through a half hour like it was nothing, James, and we didn't even leave time for Q&A. So I'm just going to do that really quick in case there's anyone in the room that wants to throw some questions out. Please hit them up.
I love it. Eric, I'm reading what you said. Amen, amen, amen.
Don't be shy,
not
guys.
A vending machine. Yeah, the customer's not a vending machine. I agree with that, man. And we do treat them like a vending machine. What if we did that, right? What if we were like cold calling people, they answer the phone and we were like D7. And they'd be like, what? And you're like, oh, is that not your number? What about B9?
This is not the chips. I really wanted the chips.
I really need a Snickers right now. And I think you could give it to me.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
I have some good questions. So how do I get people to want to talk to me? Authenticity. That's the answer. Be yourself. Look in the mirror. Say what you need to say. Do you talk like that? Good. Roll with it. If you don't, Don't say it like that, right? We have this terrible tendency to write and talk in ways that we don't speak. We don't talk to people that way.
Yeah.
So don't do this, right?
Yeah.
Where can I start to build my brand? Right here on your phone. Create videos, hold it in front of your face. Just 6 inches, 8 inches away, right? No problem. Talk to your audience. What do you want them to know about you? Well, how'd you get here? What's your journey? Share that stuff. Number one question, one of the number one questions I get, what do I do if I don't have the support of my leadership? Be transparent about it. Ask them how they're investing in your professional and personal growth, right? You can do this in a one-on-one. It's okay, but be positive and constructive about it. Don't be that toxic employee. It's important that you don't catch that label. I struggle with cold call openers. I gave you a great cold call opener, and that's the one that I use. Hi, is this Eric? Downward inflection. Eric, thanks for taking the call. Do you have a moment before your next meeting? Downward inflection. That's the hard part. If you hear an upward inflection, go back to the drawing board and master that downward inflection. Super important. What subject lines do I use most? First name, and then the greater than less than sign. Again, Morgan J. Ingram, right? The greater than less than sign, and then your name, or them, their name, the greater than less than sign, and your company name. Very successful, high open rates across the board on those. And then what's the best platform to build my brand on? The answer is the one your prospects use the most. The one your prospects are on. If you see that your prospects spend a lot of time on Instagram, then you should be creating content on Instagram. If you see that most of your prospects are in the IT space and spend most of their time on LinkedIn, you should be on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But the real answer, the one that you should be looking at is, should I use all the platforms that I can? And the answer is always yes. TikTok is changing everything right now.
Oh, yeah.
The reason is because the algorithm is so strong, putting you in front of strangers. But at the same time, TikTok is future-proof. You're future-proofing your career by leveraging TikTok. If you are a valued resource for young people using TikTok today, you will be considered a valued resource for them 10 years from now when they take over teams, when they become decision makers. They'll say things like, I followed Eric for a decade. I trust what he says. Right? You need that credibility baked into the leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah. One final question on building your brand and content. I think a lot of people get tripped up on what to put out there.
Yeah.
And think too much about, curating the perfect content. What's your advice there?
Don't overthink it. Simplify. I do this great exercise where I give sheets of paper out to a lot of people, and I tell them that they have 5 minutes to fold the best paper airplane that they can. And they fold paper airplanes. I've seen crazy ass paper airplanes, yo. And then I stand in the middle of the room and I hold my arms out and I go, okay, this side of the room, you can throw your paper airplane sidearm only. This side of the room, you have to throw it overhead. Now throw your paper airplane at me. No one ever hits the target. They miss every time. So I say, okay, everybody has 1 minute. Find your paper airplane and crumble it up in a ball and take one big step forward. Now throw your paper ball at me. I get hit 100% of the time.
That's amazing.
Everyone hits.
That's a great
And the
analogy.
whole idea is, look how much easier that was.
Yeah.
Don't overcomplicate your content. If you stutter, if you stammer, it's all right. Shut it down, do it again. Maybe if it's not that big a deal, roll with it. It's all right. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be effective. Right. And you got to understand the difference between those two. There's a time and a place for perfection. When you have contracted an external source to come sit in front of you with a big camera and lights, that's the time for perfection.
Right.
But when you're Monday morning sending a quick message with your phone to your audience saying, today I'm going to focus on this, you don't need that to be perfect. You need it to be impactful. So know the difference between those two styles of content. Another thing, mix it up.
Yeah.
If you do a video on Monday, do a short form written post on Tuesday. Do a blog post on Wednesday. Right. Always be eclectic, because you don't know what kind of content your verticals gravitate towards. And I would talk about gravitational pull on another episode.
Perfect.
This is a good one from Shikant. Is cold calling as a channel reducing the significance over video personalization in this modern prospecting world? Omnipresence wins the day. If you're cold calling, you should also be using video. If you're using video, you should be using email and written text. If you should be writing emails and sending them to people, you should be sending DMs on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, you should also follow on Twitter. If you're following on Twitter, you should find them on Instagram. When you log in, if you're on my radar, it is damn near impossible to ignore me. because when you log into every platform that you get a dopamine hit from, hi, I'm there. By the time we talk, you already know me. So Shrikant, the answer is yes, all. You should be perfecting the art of being omnipresent in your prospects' lives. And therefore, you earn more conversations with that credibility that you build.
That's awesome. Well, James, this was as awesome as I thought it was going to be. I literally looked at the time. I'm like, wait, what? It's over? No.
We went long. We went 40 minutes.
We went 40 minutes. That's awesome. That's great. Any final last thoughts for our listeners here?
Invest in yourself. Make the difference for your life, because it will make a difference in the way that you feel prospecting and selling. Believe in what you sell. And if you don't believe in what you sell, go find something else to sell.
Right.
It takes a person that believes in what they do to be successful continuously through a long-term sales career. And if you're that leader that's hiring right now, stop telling people that their starting role is a foot in the door or a stepping stone. It takes the focus off of what they're doing, and it puts the focus on what they should be doing later in their career.
Nice.
So stop saying this. Hiring managers out there, stop saying these things.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Awesome. We're getting some thank yous across the board here.
Eric, thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, normally I reserve this like last 2 seconds to do our little sales pitches on our business, but I'm not going to do that because people are going to buy us if they want us. There we go.
You should buy it. You should buy it. You should go do all the things. Don't limit yourself to just one angle.
Right?
You should do predictable revenue. You should do Beck Holland. You should do Josh Braun. You should do John Barrows. You should do Morgan. You should do mine. Like the more products and approaches you have at your disposal, the more effective you can be with more buyers.
Absolutely. Hands down. And on that note,
we out.
We out. Happy St. Patty's Day, everyone. James, always a pleasure. We'll have you on again if you're willing. Yeah. Woo! That's awesome. Bye, everyone.